Captain Adam Scott stood on the bridge of the U.S. Voyager, humanity's first true interstellar vessel. Through the viewport, he watched as the massive Galactic Council station grew larger. Its twisted spires and enormous docking rings looked nothing like human architecture, all curves and flowing lines that seemed to defy physics. "Nervous, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Nicole Garcia, his second in command. "Just the normal amount when making first contact with 12 alien species simultaneously," Adam replied with a tight smile. The Voyager had discovered faster-than-light travel just 3 years earlier. After sending automated probes to nearby star systems, humans finally received a response, an invitation from something called the Galactic Council. The Council's message had been polite but reserved. They welcomed humanity to the greater galactic community and offered to share appropriate technologies with Earth's developing civilization. "Receiving docking instructions now, Captain," called out the navigation officer. "They're guiding us to Bay 17. Adam nodded. "Take us in, nice and easy. Let's make a good first impression." The Voyager glided into the massive docking bay, where dozens of alien ships were already parked. Each looked wildly different, some sleek and predatory, others bulbous and organic-looking. When the airlock finally opened, Adam led a small delegation onto the station. They were met by a group of aliens so diverse that Adam struggled to process what he was seeing. Some had multiple limbs, others hovered above the ground. Colors ranged from deep blues to metallic silvers. A tall, slender being with iridescent skin stepped forward. "Welcome, humans. I am Ambassador Krell of the Solarians, current chair of the Galactic Council. We are pleased to officially welcome Earth to our community." The following days were filled with diplomatic meetings, technology exchanges, and cultural presentations. Most council species were friendly, if somewhat condescending. They treated humans like clever children who had finally figured out how to leave their playpen. On the third day, during a military technology exchange, things grew tense. Admiral Scott had authorized a demonstration of human weapon systems, including several firearms modified for space combat. Ambassador Krell examined the weapons with what Adam could only interpret as amusement. The ambassador's skin rippled with changing colors that the translator indicated was the Solarian equivalent of laughter. "You still use physical projectiles?" Krell asked. "How? Quaint." The Council's military advisor, a stocky reptilian being named Vex, picked up one of the pistols awkwardly in his 3-fingered hand. "We abandoned such primitive weapons thousands of years ago. Energy-based weapons are far superior. Our firearms are highly effective on Earth," Adam said carefully. "I'm sure they are," said Krell with what seemed like patronizing kindness. "But against modern shield technology, they would be useless. Council species use directed energy weapons and force fields. Physical projectiles are obsolete." Vex activated a small device on his wrist, creating a shimmering energy field around his body. "See, our personal shields stop anything physical. Only energy weapons can penetrate them, and even those must be precisely calibrated." Adam noticed several council representatives exchanging nervous glances during this demonstration. Something wasn't right. Later, in private quarters, he discussed his observations with Lieutenant Garcia. "They're hiding something," Nicole said. "Did you notice how the Praxian delegate tensed up whenever weapons were mentioned?" Adam nodded. "And there's that restricted section of the station. Every time I ask about it, they change the subject." "Maybe they're not as united as they want us to believe," Nicole suggested. "Or maybe," Adam said slowly, "they're facing some threat they don't want to tell us about." He looked at the modified pistol sitting on his desk, the same weapon the council representatives had laughed at earlier. "We should keep our eyes open. I have a feeling our primitive technology might not be so primitive after all." The truth about the Galactic Council's situation emerged during the 4th day of diplomatic talks. Captain Adam Scott and his team were invited to a classified briefing by Counselor Drex, an elderly blue-skinned being who represented the Eturi species. What I'm about to share is not widely discussed with newcomers, Drex explained, his translator device giving his words a slight metallic quality. But circumstances force our hand. The holographic projector in the center of the room activated, showing images of massive battle cruisers with jagged designs attacking various worlds. These are the Morgax, Drex continued. For the past 7 years, they've waged war against Council worlds. They're ruthless, technologically advanced, and determined to conquer our territories. Adam studied the images carefully. Why tell us now? Because we're losing, said a new voice. A female Accelarian entered the room. General Thela, the Council's supreme military commander. Not quickly, but steadily. The Morgax adapt to our weapons too fast. Lieutenant Nicole Garcia leaned forward. I don't understand. You have energy weapons, shields, faster than light travel. How can you be losing? General Thela's skin darkened with what Adam had learned was frustration. The war is a stalemate. Our shields block their weapons. Their shields block ours. Battles drag on until one side runs out of power, usually us. Dr. Alan Murphy, the human weapons specialist, had been examining the technical data scrolling beside the hologram. Their shields are calibrated specifically against energy attacks. Yes, General Thela confirmed. As are ours. It's been the standard for thousands of years. Nicole's eyes widened as realization struck. They've never encountered physical projectile weapons, have they? The room fell silent. Finally, Counselor Drex spoke. No, such technology is considered obsolete. No advanced species uses them. Adam exchanged glances with his team. We'd like to offer our assistance. With all respect, Captain, General Thela said, her skin now rippling with blue patterns that indicated skepticism. Your civilization is centuries behind ours. How could you possibly help? Dr. Murphy stepped forward. Sometimes the old ways work best. May I explain ballistic physics to your scientists? The Council representatives agreed reluctantly. Hours later, in a secure laboratory, Dr. Murphy demonstrated how a simple bullet worked to a group of fascinated alien scientists. You see, he explained, firing a round into a gel block. There's no energy signature to block. It's just mass and velocity. One Praxian scientist, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, objected. But shields stop physical objects too. That's basic protection. Yes, Murphy agreed, but your shields are calibrated for much larger, slower objects like asteroids or debris. A small, fast-moving projectile might be different. The Council's chief scientist, a hovering gelatinous being named Ulo, moved closer. Your theory has merit, but the Morgax shields are the best in the galaxy. Let's test it, Adam suggested. Initially, the Council's military leadership resisted. Admiral Vex was particularly vocal. Humans have barely left their solar system, he argued during the emergency meeting. We cannot entrust our defense to primitives wielding ancient weapons. But Counselor Drex overruled him. We've tried everything else. What do we have to lose? The next day, a testing facility was prepared. A captured Morgax shield generator was activated, creating the same protection their warships used. Council weapons couldn't penetrate it. Dr. Murphy loaded a standard-issue pistol. The Council scientists watched skeptically as he took aim and fired 3 rounds in quick succession. All 3 bullets passed through the shield as if it weren't there. Admiral Vex's mouth dropped open. General Thela's skin turned bright yellow with shock. Impossible, she whispered. Adam stepped forward. Not impossible, just different. Sometimes the old ways work best. Counselor Drex turned to Captain Scott. How quickly can Earth produce more of these weapons? That depends, Adam replied, on how serious the Council is about accepting our help. The next morning, the Council chamber looked completely different. Instead of the formal diplomatic setup, the room had been converted into a war planning center. Holographic displays showed Morgax fleet movements across dozens of star systems. Captain Adam Scott entered with his team to find military representatives from all 12 council species waiting for them. The atmosphere was tense but expectant. "We've arranged a demonstration," General Thela announced, her skin now a determined orange hue. "A full test of human weapons against Morgax technology." They traveled to a secure testing facility deep within the station. A series of captured Morgax shield generators and armor segments had been set up as targets. Dr. Alan Murphy supervised as human crew members assembled various firearms. "We've brought standard pistols, rifles, and a few specialized weapons. Nothing fancy by Earth standards." Frank Wilson, the ship's tactical officer, had spent the night working with council engineers. He stepped forward with what looked like a modified assault rifle. "I've adapted some of our weapons to use council power sources," he explained. "They'll fire faster and won't overheat in vacuum." Admiral Vex still looked skeptical. "These look like toys compared to our disruptors." "Sometimes simple is better," Frank replied with a tight smile. The demonstration began with basic handguns. Each shot passed cleanly through the Morgax shields, causing visible damage to the armor behind them. Council scientists recorded everything, their expressions showing increasing excitement. Technical specialist Lisa Chambers stepped up next with a heavy rifle. "This is designed for armor penetration," she explained, taking aim at a thicker section of Morgax plating. When she fired, the bullet punched completely through both shield and armor. A hushed murmur spread through the alien observers. "The physics are clear," Dr. Murphy explained. "Your shields interact with energy signatures. Our bullets are just matter moving very fast." Frank demonstrated his hybrid weapons next. They combined human ballistic principles with alien materials, creating rounds that glowed slightly as they fired. The effect was even more devastating. "We've infused the bullets with trace elements that disrupt their shield harmonics," he explained. "Double impact." General Thela's skin had turned bright white, a sign of extreme excitement among Solarians. "This changes everything," she said. The demonstration was interrupted by an urgent communication. A holographic display showed a council outpost under attack by Morgax raiders. 3 ships, Admiral Vex reported. "Small attack force, likely testing defenses." General Thela turned to Captain Scott. "How quickly can your weapons be deployed in actual combat?" "We're ready now," Adam replied. "Then we have no time to waste," she decided. "Captain Scott, would you and your team accompany a council response force? We need to see if these weapons work in actual combat conditions." 8 hours later, Adam found himself aboard a council defense cruiser approaching the attacked outpost. A small team of human Marines had joined them, each carrying modified firearms. Lieutenant Nicole Garcia checked her weapon one last time. "First time humans have fought in space." "Nervous?" "Focus on the mission," Adam replied. "Remember, their shields won't stop our bullets, but their ships are still heavily armored." The council ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the outpost. 3 Morgax raiders were visible, their angular black hulls reflecting no light as they fired energy weapons at the station's failing shields. "They haven't detected us yet," the council ship's captain reported. Adam turned to his team. "Boarding party, prepare for deployment. Aim for control systems and weapons arrays." As they moved toward the shuttle bay, Frank Wilson fell into step beside Adam. "Captain, those raiders have never faced humans before," he said quietly. Adam nodded. "Let's show them what Earth can do." The shuttle launched toward the nearest Morgax ship, carrying the first humans ever to engage in interstellar combat. As they approached, Adam could see the Morgax shields shimmer with energy. "Remember your training," he told his team. "Make every shot count." The Morgax raider loomed ahead as the council shuttle approached. Its hull was jagged and black, resembling a massive predatory insect. Energy weapons flashed from its surface, striking the outpost's weakening shields. 30 seconds to intercept," announced the shuttle pilot, a 4-armed Praxian who navigated with surprising grace. Captain Adam Scott checked his modified handgun one last time. Beside him, 5 human Marines and 3 Council Special Forces soldiers prepared for boarding. Lieutenant Nicole Garcia caught his eye and nodded. They were ready. "Remember," Adam told the team, "we need to hit their main weapons control first, then the engine room. Council intelligence suggests both are near the center of the ship." The shuttle approached the Morgax raider from below, using the outpost as visual cover. As they neared, the shuttle's specialized cutting beam activated, slicing through the Morgax hull. "Breach successful," the pilot reported. "Atmosphere stable on the other side." Adam led the boarding party through the opening. The interior of the Morgax ship was dimly lit with pulsing red lights. The corridors were narrow, clearly designed for beings smaller than humans. They encountered the first Morgax guards almost immediately. 3 humanoid figures with chitinous gray skin and large compound eyes. The aliens raised their energy weapons, confident in their personal shields. "Fire," Adam ordered. The humans fired in unison. Their bullets passed straight through the Morgax shields, striking the unprepared aliens. The guards fell before they could return fire, their expressions showing something Adam recognized from any species: shock. "They really didn't expect that," Nicole whispered as they moved forward. The team advanced through the ship, encountering increasingly organized resistance. The Morgax quickly realized their shields were ineffective against the strange human weapons, but continued to rely on tactics that assumed energy weapon combat. Lieutenant William Perry took point as they approached the weapons control center. A burst of energy fire from around a corner forced them to take cover. "At least 6 guards ahead," William reported. "Heavy weapons." Adam nodded to the Council's Special Forces, 3 beings from different species who had been quietly observing the humans in action. "Can you draw their fire?" he asked. Trell, a lizard-like saurian, nodded. "Their weapons cannot penetrate our enhanced shields for approximately 12 seconds. That's all we need." The Council forces moved forward, activating their powerful personal shields. The Morgax concentrated their fire on these familiar threats. Energy beams splashed against the shields, which began to flicker almost immediately. "Now," Adam signaled. The humans rolled out from cover and fired from prone positions beneath the energy weapon exchange. Their bullets struck the Morgax defenders, who fell in confusion, still aiming at the Council forces. William rushed forward and secured the weapons control center, a circular room filled with holographic displays. Working from Council intelligence, he quickly located the main firing controls. "Weapons offline," he reported after a moment. "They can't fire on the outpost anymore." Adam's communicator crackled. "Captain, this is Frank on the command frequency. The other 2 Morgax ships are breaking away. They're retreating." The news spread quickly through the boarding party. One of the Council operators, a female Exilarian named Mila, stared at the humans in disbelief. "You disabled an entire Morgax raider with just pieces of metal." William Perry shrugged. "Sometimes the simplest solution works best." The team finished securing the ship, taking several Morgax prisoners. As they returned to the Council cruiser, Adam noticed how the alien crew looked at them differently, with something approaching respect, or perhaps even awe. Admiral Vex met them in the docking bay. His earlier skepticism was gone. "The Council has received our battle reports," he said. "They're interested in discussing further human military assistance." Nicole Garcia smiled slightly. "I bet they are." Adam nodded seriously. "Tell them we're ready to help, but as equal partners, not as curiosities." Admiral Vex's expression suggested this would be a difficult negotiation, but he nodded. "After today's demonstration," he admitted, "I believe they'll agree to your terms." The news of humanity's success against the Morgax spread quickly through Council space. Within days, the U.S. Voyager received a formal request for expanded military cooperation. Captain Adam Scott found himself in a high-security council chamber, facing the complete Galactic Security Committee. "The Morgax are adapting," General Thela explained, her skin now a worried purple hue. They're reinforcing their ships with physical barriers behind their energy shields. Dr. Susan Blackwell, the Voyager's chief engineer, studied the new Morgak schematics. Predictable. They're responding to a physical threat with physical defenses. Can your weapons still penetrate these new barriers? Asked Counselor Drex. Standard bullets. Maybe not, Susan admitted. But we have other options. Earth developed many types of projectile weapons before we moved to energy-based systems. The Council granted humans access to their advanced materials fabrication facilities. Susan led a team of engineers from both Earth and various Council species in developing enhanced ballistic weapons. The principle remains the same, she explained to her alien colleagues, but we can improve velocity, penetration, and impact using your alloys. While the weapons development proceeded, the Morgaks launched new attacks across 3 Council worlds. Their tactics had changed. They now maintained greater distance in space battles, avoiding boarding actions. They fear close combat with humans. Admiral Vex observed during a strategy session. Frank Wilson nodded. But they still don't have an effective counter to projectile weapons. Not everyone in the Council welcomed human involvement. Several species, particularly the technology-focused Centauri, expressed concern about giving primitives access to advanced materials. They've barely left their own star system, argued Centauri Representative Quill during a closed council session. Now we're helping them develop weapons that can pierce our own defenses. General Thela's skin flushed orange with irritation. Would you prefer we lose this war? The debate continued until urgent news interrupted. The Morgaks had launched their largest offensive yet, targeting key Council shipyards. Captain Scott received emergency deployment orders. The U.S. Voyager would join the Council fleet at the Praxian shipyards, bringing the newly developed weapons. This will be the first full-scale test, Susan told Adam as the ship prepared for departure. The railgun prototype is installed on the Voyager's main hull. It fires standard slugs at 30% light speed. Any issues with the power requirements? Adam asked. We're using a hybrid system, Council power cells with human firing mechanisms. It should work. The Voyager arrived at the Praxian shipyards to find chaos. 12 Morgaks warships were attacking the installations, their improved armor making them resistant to Council energy weapons. All human personnel to battle stations, Adam ordered. Prepare the railgun for firing. The Council fleet commander, an experienced Aturi named Commander Zen, contacted the Voyager. Captain Scott, we're instructed to follow your tactical lead. Our weapons are ineffective. Adam nodded grimly. Position your ships to draw their fire. We'll target their engines and weapon systems. The Voyager moved into position, staying behind the larger Council vessels. The Morgaks, confident in their new armor, pressed their attack. Railgun charged and ready, reported Susan from engineering. Target the lead Morgaks cruiser. Adam ordered. Fire when ready. The ship shuddered as the railgun fired. A small projectile, barely visible to the naked eye, crossed the space between ships almost instantly. It struck the Morgaks cruiser's forward section, passing through shields and armor alike. The enemy ship's front section exploded, sending fragments spinning into space. The Council fleet comm channels erupted with exclamations of surprise and relief. Target the next ship, Adam ordered calmly. By the end of the battle, the Morgaks had lost 5 warships and were in full retreat. The remaining Council fleet surrounded the Voyager in a gesture of respect and gratitude. Commander Zen's voice came through the comm. The Council will want a full report on this weapon system. Adam looked at Susan, who was already analyzing the railgun's performance data. Tell them we're just getting started, he replied. The Exilarian homeworld glowed blue-green against the blackness of space. Orbiting it was Fortress Station, the largest defensive installation in Council space. Now it was surrounded by hundreds of ships from every Council species, formed in defensive formations. Intelligence reports had confirmed what everyone feared. The Morgaks were planning their largest attack yet, Their target, the Xilarian homeworld, seat of the current Council leadership. Captain Adam Scott stood on the command deck of the U.S. Voyager, now reinforced with Council technology, but still distinctively human in design and function. "Status report," he called out. Lieutenant Nicole Garcia looked up from her console. "All human Marines deployed to Council ships as planned. 47 vessels now equipped with railgun technology." And the Morgax. Long-range sensors detect approximately 200 ships emerging from hyperspace in 30 minutes. Adam nodded. This would be the decisive battle. After months of smaller engagements, the Morgax had adapted their ships with thicker armor and multi-layered shields, but they still hadn't found an effective counter to human projectile weapons. Major Jack Reynolds, commander of the human Marine forces, appeared on the main view screen. "Captain, my teams are in position throughout the fleet. Council crews are nervous." "They have reason to be," Adam replied. "This is their largest home world. Remind your people, disciplined fire, focus on command ships first." The comm channel switched to show Admiral Krell, once a skeptical ambassador, now the Council's supreme fleet commander. "Captain Scott, all Council vessels are following the battle plan you proposed, though I must admit, many of my commanders find it unusual." Adam smiled slightly. "Letting the Morgax get close goes against conventional wisdom, Admiral. But their new armor is weakest at specific junction points. We need clear shots." As the final preparations were made, Dr. Susan Blackwell arrived on the bridge. "The modified ammunition is distributed to all human teams. Each round contains a small EMP charge that will trigger after penetration." "Good work, Susan," Adam said. "This should counter their adaptive electronics." The bridge fell silent as the first Morgax ships appeared, massive black shapes against the stars, moving in perfect formation. "They've improved their coordination," Nicole observed. "Yes," Adam agreed. "But they still think like energy weapon users." The Morgax fleet approached, clearly expecting the Council forces to engage at long range with energy weapons. Instead, following Adam's plan, the Council ships held position, using minimal power to maintain their shields. "They're confused," Admiral Krell reported. "Morgax command ships are adjusting formation." "Wait for it," Adam instructed. "Let them commit to the approach." The Morgax fleet moved closer, now within medium weapons range. Their forward batteries began firing, energy beams splashing against Council shields. "Now," Adam ordered, "all ships with railguns, target command vessels. Marine teams, prepare to repel boarders." Across the Council fleet, newly installed railguns fired in sequence. The specially designed projectiles crossed space in milliseconds, passing through the Morgax shields and striking precisely at ship junction points. Explosions bloomed silently in space as the EMP charges detonated inside critical systems. The Morgax, expecting a traditional energy weapon exchange, were caught completely unprepared. Their front-line ships broke formation, trying to adjust to an attack pattern they'd never encountered. "Their central command vessel is launching boarding craft," Nicole reported. "They're trying to capture our railgun technology." "Just as we predicted," Adam replied calmly. "Major Reynolds." Jack's voice came through clearly. "My teams are ready, Captain. Let them come." The battle raged for hours. Morgax boarding parties found themselves outmatched by human Marines equipped with projectile weapons. Council ships, following human tactical advice, maintained formation and concentrated fire on key targets. On the Fortress Station Command Center, Admiral Krell watched in amazement as the Morgax fleet, feared for decades across Council space, began to disintegrate under the combined assault. "I never thought I'd see this day," he said quietly to Adam, who had joined him on the station. The Morgax in retreat. Adam watched the tactical display, where human-equipped ships were pursuing the fleeing Morgax vessels. "It's not your technology that failed you," he said. "It was forgetting the basics of warfare. Sometimes the oldest solutions work best." Admiral Krill's skin shifted to a deep blue of respect. The Council will not forget this lesson again. The Grand Council chamber was filled beyond capacity. Representatives from all 12 Council species sat in their designated sections, while a new area had been hastily constructed for the human delegation. 6 months had passed since the decisive Battle of Sileria, and today marked a historic occasion. Captain Adam Scott walked slowly down the central aisle, wearing his formal Earth uniform. Behind him came the crew of the U.S. Voyager and representatives from Earth's government. The chamber fell silent as they approached the central podium. High Counselor Drex, his blue skin now showing the patterns of formal ceremony, activated the chamber's voice amplification system. Today, we gather to formally recognize the contribution of humanity to the preservation of Council space, he announced. The Morgax threat, which plagued our worlds for 7 years, has been neutralized. Screens around the chamber displayed images from the peace negotiations. The Morgax, finally brought to the diplomatic table, had agreed to withdraw to their original territories. Their once fearsome fleet was reduced to defensive capabilities only. Captain Scott, continued Drex, please step forward. Adam moved to stand before the Council leadership. Around him, he could see faces that had once looked at humans with condescension now showing clear respect. The Council has voted unanimously to offer Earth immediate full membership status, Drex announced. This extraordinary measure bypasses the usual century-long observation period. Earth will have equal standing with founding species. Murmurs of approval spread through the chamber. Adam accepted the formal scroll of membership, feeling its weight, both physical and symbolic. Additionally, Drex continued, we are establishing a new position within Council leadership. Captain Adam Scott will serve as the first human military advisor to the Council. Admiral Krell stepped forward, his skin displaying formal blues and golds. Before the human arrival, the Council had grown complacent in our military thinking. We had forgotten that technology alone does not win battles. Strategy, innovation, and sometimes returning to fundamental principles are equally important. In the months following the final battle, Council species had begun adapting human military concepts into their own forces. Hybrid weapons systems combining energy weapons with physical projectiles were now standard issue. Human tactical manuals were being translated into all Council languages. Earth reminds us of an important truth, Admiral Krell continued. Progress is not always linear. Sometimes what appears primitive may simply be different, and difference can be our greatest strength. After the formal ceremony, a smaller reception allowed for more personal conversations. Adam found himself approached by a familiar figure, Ambassador Krell, who had first laughed at human weapons. Captain Scott, the ambassador said, his skin showing embarrassment patterns, I owe you an apology. I dismissed your technology as primitive. Adam smiled. No apology needed, Ambassador. You weren't wrong. Our weapons are simpler, but sometimes simple works. A lesson I've taken to heart, Krell admitted. I've actually begun training with your projectile weapons. Really? Why? Krell's skin rippled with thoughtful colors. Because it represents something important, that we must never stop learning, never assume our way is the only way. The universe is vast, and there are many paths to knowledge. Across the room, Lieutenant Nicole Garcia was speaking with several young Council officers. They were discussing joint training programs that would bring Council species to Earth to learn human military techniques. Dr. Susan Blackwell had drawn a crowd of Council engineers fascinated by her explanations of railgun technology. The principles are ancient, she was saying, dating back centuries on Earth. But with your materials, we've created something entirely new. As the reception continued, Adam found a quiet moment to look out at the stars visible through the chamber's vast windows. Somewhere out there, Earth continued its daily routines, unaware how significantly its position in the galaxy had changed. What had begun with mockery had ended with respect. Human primitive guns had saved an interstellar civilization. And now, humanity would help shape the future of galactic security. Sometimes, Adam thought, the oldest technologies remained effective for a reason. And sometimes, those who laughed first ended up learning the most important lessons.